In 2012, we saw a case of euthanasia, assisted suicide, which is a form of euthanasia. 27-year-old Brittany Maynard decided to end her own life with prescribed drugs by a doctor. She had found out that she had terminally ill brain cancer and did not want to go on living with it, and deciding that it was destroying her life and that she wanted to die with dignity. Now, she had a family, she had a husband, and she lived longer than the 6 months that the doctor gave her. So this brought up the question is, was it right for the doctor to let her do this even though she outlived her prognosis? We know as Christians that God can perform miracles, and if she would have known this, she would have trusted that God had a way for her. Even if she was going to die, she would have been able to impact lives. So what is euthanasia? Euthanasia, according to dictionary.com of Van Egan's PowerPoint, the act or practice of ending life of an individual suffering from terminal illness or an incurable condition, as by lethal injection, suspension of extraordinary medical treatment. Euthanasia literally means good death. Assisted suicide is a form of euthanasia. Doctors provide things to the patients, like medicine, for life to end or simply stop treatment. There's types of euthanasia. There's active euthanasia, passive, involuntary, and voluntary. According to BBC, active euthanasia occurs when the medical professionals or another person deliberately do something that causes the person to die. Passive euthanasia occurs when the patient dies because the medical professionals don't do something necessary to keep them alive. Involuntary, the person wants to live but is killed anyways. This is like if a soldier is dying because he got blown up and the doctor doesn't want them to see him suffering, so they kill them. This is not very common in our world today. Voluntary is what we see as assisted suicide. The person wants to die and says they want to die, and so they ask help for dying. They refuse treatment, they ask for life support to be turned off, they refuse to eat, and they just simply decide they want to die, according to the BBC. Now we'll see where euthanasia is legal. Assisted suicide, or voluntary euthanasia, is legal in California, Montana, Oregon, Vermont, New Mexico, and Washington, according to ProCon. These states believe that people have the right to die with dignity, or feel that if they have a terminal illness that they don't need to suffer anymore. In the world, the Netherlands, Belgium, Colombia, and Luxembourg, euthanasia is legal. Assisted suicide, which is like voluntary euthanasia, is legal in Switzerland, Germany, and Japan. We need to know that God values life, and euthanasia goes against this. In Genesis 1:26-27, it says, "Then God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and all over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. This shows us that God thought us out, God made us wonderfully, God made us in his image, and God is perfect. This goes against what everything he has created us to be. In 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, it says, "Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own. You were bought with a price. So glorify God with your body." God gave us his Son to shed his blood to die for us. We were bought at a price, and it says we are not our own. So we do not have the right to decide when we want to die. That is only God's being. Ecclesiastes 7:17 says, "Be not overly wicked, neither be a fool. Why should you die before your time?" This just shows how God's telling us that we should not commit suicide or assisted suicide or have euthanasia legal. So, euthanasia go against what God says about human life, and we know that according to the Bible. It's taking someone's life who's terminally ill, and it's becoming legalized more and more in countries and in our states. This is going against valuing human life, and God created us in his own image. It's hard to determine lawfully if this is murder or suicide, because it's both, and that's why the government is having a hard time not making this illegal. Suicide is taking one's own life voluntarily, which they are doing, and murder is taking someone else's life, which the doctors are helping take someone else's life. But we as Christians need to step up and show that human life is valuable and that we should not take it away from anyone. There's always hope and miracles in God, and we believe that, and we need to show others that.